Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Shake Up, and this is going to be our handicapping video number 3. Um, and we're going to go over class. Does your horse belong in a race? So, our first video, we learned how to mark up the horses, trying to decide if they're front runner, stalker, closer, that kind of stuff. The next thing you really want to know is if your horse is too far out of bounds. Does your horse belong in the race or not? And it was going to take me a while to do this video. I was messing around with it. I was going to do the whole explaining class, all that other stuff. But I just realized there's tons of books. It's one of the oldest factors about handicapping. Uh, if you don't know anything about class, you need to go read one of those books. I don't care which one. Uh, Once you learn that, hopefully this video will make more sense. So I am just going to tell you how I use class. Uh, And the easiest way for me to do that is to just go over day at the races. We're gonna look at a bunch of races. I'm not cherry picking. I'm not trying to put examples to prove my point or anything one way or another. This is going to be March 24th, 2022 racing form. It just so happened that I'm using it because it's the exact same form that we use to mark up the horses, even though I don't have those marks there anymore. Uh, and it was a day that I did on the live stream. So you guys can, if people would love to go back and see if, yeah, he actually did something or not. Or, if he was thinking what he was thinking now after he knows the results. So these races already happened, uh, but this was a form that I used on a live day. Uh, so the real thing about class, it's not one of my favorite things. I'm not an expert at class. I do use it. Some days I don't use it at all. Some days I'm using it a lot. It's just one of those things. But it's basically trying to determine if your horse belongs or if a horse might have an advantage dropping into easier competition. Uh, it's usually when you use class handicapping. You want to make sure your horse belongs and you want to watch out for horses that are dropping. Plain and simple. The theory about droppers is they've been running against better. They're now dropping against easier. Everyone gives the college sport analogy. It's like Division 1 compared to Division 2 compared to the pros. Well, that's partially what class is. But the thing about human sports, when you get an injury or you can no longer compete, they tell you to get the fuck out. Horse racing, you just drop down the ladder. Uh, so that's where their analogy falls apart. Uh, if you're not good enough to play in the NFL, you can't go back to college. There's no place for go. Get the fuck out. If you're a Division 2 player, you're probably not good enough to be a Division 1 or pro, except for a few exception. That would be the equivalent to super sharp horse stepping up. But horses can't tell you, and they have no other job other than being race horses. So they just get rode. So horses fall in and out of class. A lot of times, once they fall out of a class level, a lot of times they never come back. Uh, that's what I'm talking about. When you're not good enough anymore in real sports, they kick you the fuck out. So that's usually the question that you're asking yourself about class standouts dropping. Everyone can see the horse as a class standout, but the real thing is you got to consider value, risk, reward, and basically a lot of times class will force you betting if the horse is right. Uh, and I'm doing this free scripted, so I hope I don't get lost in my thoughts, which I might have just did. But anyways, let's just go over the first race on this day. Uh, I do my class droppers in yellow, so there's not really that many class droppers here. The yellow part is when they dropped. Uh, but this race was basically between the 1 and the 4. I will point out some interesting things with class. Uh, but those would have been the two class horses in this race. Four would be coming from a higher class, a lot higher class, and one would be coming from just a recent drop. One has form, one's coming off over a year layoff. Uh, we can just look at the result, but this is what I'm getting at. The real question is not necessarily does it give me a winner or not, which it does. Comes in 4-1, the two class horses. They were in front of everyone else, and next separated them, and they were ahead of everyone else by 13 lengths. So this class work? Well, it sure did work in that race. But here's the question you need to ask yourself. Is basically two even money horses worth it? They were the exacta. The exacta paid $3.80 for a buck. Should you even be in a race like that? But this is an example of class working. What's interesting about this race, and not really that interesting if you're you've been around the game for a while, but class also makes horses sometimes can do things that they never did before. This horse do it on the lead today. Uh, am I shocked about that? Not really. He's a lightly raced horse. Uh, Drop into the basement basically. Yeah, he can have more speed. This class helped me here. I mean, yeah, it gets you the winner. It gets you a low price exacta. They were neck apart. I got that this horse ran against exclusive quality a year or two ago. We know who that horse is. Uh, but the question on this race, do I want the class horse that's dropping a little bit, that's in decent form, at 110 on the dollar, or do I want a horse that hasn't raced since 2020 and it's 2022 now at 1.30 on the dollar? But this is, class works. Should you, the real question, am I respecting handicapping math and should be in this race? And I think you guys know where my answer was. I did not play that race. But that we'll put a little. Let's just put a little mark up here for one race where class worked. We'll try to tally them up if I remember. Let's say the second race was a $6,000, and we got a few class horses, but I remember going through this race. So this was a $6,000 race, and this is what you're going to have a lot to deal with when you're a class handicapper. You know, I almost compare class is like when you read your first poker book. You read your first poker book, and the poker says, "Hey, you should start with these hands. You should only open up with these hands: ace, ace, king, king, queen, queen, jack, jack. Ace, jack, eight. Starting hands, right? Doesn't make you a winner. Uh, you have a super basic understanding of the game. It won't be long-term success. The game gets so advanced after that, but it's a good place to start. How about that? So this is a $6,000 claimer. So the one's taking a little bit of class from his last few races: 8,000, 10,000, 8,000. Nothing's wrong there. The two's dropping in class: 10,000. The three's dropping in class: 12,000. Wow, we looked at three horses. Three horses are dropping in class. The four horse was at 8,000 last race, but 6,000 the last three races. I just don't have nothing here. We're just going to call him flat. And you got the five who's making a monster drop in class, 20,000. This is how it looks. A lot of races are going to look like this. Uh, You got quite a few horses all making a class drop, and they're different levels of class. I came up with the 4, 5, 7 as my contenders. I got that I did not make a bet. When I was looking at this race, I was scared to death of the 6. I thought I had some excuses on the 6. That class drop scared me. Uh, I thought he was the horse to beat. I like the 4 horse, but you know, you got a few other horses dropping. The 4 horse not dropping. The story of this race: this horse was a 3-1 going in the gate, and the 5 was 70 cents on the dollar. 70 cents for every dollar you bet, or whatever. Whatever. Uh, I just said I didn't want to deal with this race. I sat out this race. The 4, while they're in the gate, goes up to 5-1. I probably would have bet him there. So this race, the 5 horse didn't run. He got a fourth. He got steadied, but he didn't really run. He was non-threatening. My 4 horse ran away with it and hid. Uh, his odds went up to almost 5-1. I probably would have bet him at a 5-1, 9-2, but I didn't. The question was this: was just, did the 5 make enough sense to me? Do I got a problem with the 5 horse losing? No. You're always asking that problem with class droppers. Are they healthy? Are they going to get their run? Is this a health issue, or the trainer trying to steal money? That's the question you're going to always ask. 70 cents on the dollar. I am not interested in doing much with him unless I got, you know, giant exactas. But when you like the 4 horses, your second choice, who's was 3-1 going in the gate, and the 7 horse was 7-2 after the race. Where were you going to go with that opinion? To me, the no bet is right, and it would have saved me money. Could I have took a shot at the 4? I probably would have if I knew I was going to get almost 5-1. But at 3-1, it wasn't worth it. This is almost a race where the class of the horse kept me out of the race of the value and was it worth the play. So this is kind of a situation where class cost you a winner. So it's, you know, it's kind of what I'm getting to my starting poker hands. Like, it's a good start, but it's not enough. So I'm going to put a 1 right here for the race that class didn't work. This is going to be class, and this is, you know, and I'm not, I mean, this just happens every day. Class wins every day, class loses every day. The real questions you got to be asking is, the prices I'm getting with a class horse, is it worth playing? Is the question. And you'll see where I'm trying to get to. This 3rd race I actually played. And this 3rd race was a bit special. Well, it was a great handicapping job. I ended up just getting my heart broken. But this is a maiden claiming 12-5. You got the 1 horse, a big class, or I'm sorry, the 2. 1 horse is a first-time starter. 2 horses make it a giant class from 30,000, 15,000, 30,000, dropping from 12-5. The 3 horse, big drop, maiden claiming 35,000, dropping. We got them highlighted in yellow. We see them. You're going to have this a lot. The 4 horse been running at this level. A 5 horse roughly at this level. 6 horse at this level roughly. 7 horse taking a big class when he was in yellow was at a lot higher of a level, and then he dropped to just a little bit higher for the last couple races and running again off a recent class drop. The 8 horse dropping in class. And the 9 horse been at this level. So in this race, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, half the field, roughly half the field making class drops last race, and 1 or 2 more horses just recently off a class. I mean, drop. I mean, this is the kind of thing you get it. You know, when you read the books, it just makes you sound like, hey, I'm just going to look for races where there's a class standout and I'm going to be able to bet. Well, this is reality what you get. You get a lot of races where a lot of horses are dropping, and you're not going to be able to get an ROI, a good one. You'll get a losing ROI just blindly betting class droppers. Uh, Now, this race was interesting because I made my morning line here. The 2 horse, I really get fooled by him. I thought he was roughly a 10-1 morning line. He's a big class dropper. I'm using up my other things with class here. I had the 3 horse at roughly 4-1. I had the 4 horse at 4-1, which was running at a lower level. I had this other class, recent class horse at 10-1, but the interesting horse was this horse. The class just ended up being a bonus. I seen the class, but really it was my notes. Bad rail asterisk, inside early pressing, hearts asterisk. Last race speed. I had a horse that I had excused 3 races in a row. I knew he was dropping in class, put a little feather in my cap. I already got some things I liked him. I had him at a 4-1 morning line. But when we're looking and we're making our decision, we got the odds line. This is him right here, 64-1. He quickly ended up being my bet. Now I get my heart broken because the first time starter beat me, but without the first time starter in the race, I would have been cashing that, and I messed him up. But there's a class, so class. A lot of people are going to think that, hey, Paul probably not going to like dislike class handicapping because class will get you on a lot of favorites. It's not true. Here's a class horse that was severely underbet, that was a monster overlay, that ran a huge second at 64-1, that I thought had a 4-1 chance winning a race. So was class, you know, it's going to be hard to say, but was class good there? Class didn't get you the winner. But I can almost put another one up there for class right there. I'm just going to put them off to the side, but this is just kind of how I'm using class. You use class as the overall picture, kind of, and you got to understand value where you think a horse is worth. And it's not a one-line factor kind of thing. It's not, I'm a class handicapper. In fact, here's this race. These were all the damn horses I was considering. But when you know the rules of value and all of that, you can see all of a sudden the 8 horse is my win bet. These are boxes. The 3 first and second with the 8. 6 first and second with the 8-4-9. Notice I'm 8 everywhere. This was just the contenders. That is not a box right there. But really, I'm only in that race because I like the 8. Oh, I also like the 9 that race. 9 was 8-1, and he ran dead last, and he was a horse stepping up. Or no, running at this level the whole time. Let's see, I think the 4th race is extremely an interesting case of class here. Now, I did not want to bet this race. I just had my heart broken. I think I was writing down my numbers here, but I knew I wasn't going to bet this race. And I'm not even sure I was looking at the eventual winner there because I think the eventual winner is 5. So I got a bunch of marks horse, but this is basically a maiden special weight race. And when I just go through and do the charts myself, I see interesting shit that I don't always realize. But I realize this horse is an interesting class drop. Usually, a maiden special weight, you do not get class droppers because, well, the way I do maiden special weight, I just say maiden special weight is maiden special weight at the same track. I don't care if one race is 100,000 and the other race is 80,000. I just look at it. Maiden special weight is equal at a track. That's how I look at it. Now, if I got an Ohio Thistle Downs maiden special weight horse coming from Gulfstream or going to Gulfstream, to me that's a step up, and I think most people would agree with that. But so usually you do not get class, and that's probably why I missed this move. Uh, but the interesting horse in this race is the 5 horse. This is a maiden special weight race, so no one's won a race. They're all maiden. But this horse last race went up to a $100,000 stakes race. And so he faced winners for the first time. Technically, that's a higher class. Uh, Now, what makes this tricky, and a lot of people are going to get overhead or crazy about it, saying, yeah, that's a huge class drop. But the thing is, he didn't win it. That's probably a starter stakes where that race was filled with nothing but a whole bunch of horses that just broke their maiden special weight, which he was on the way to doing. He ran a couple decent maiden special weight his first 2 races and then tried that. But technically, on paper, it's a class drop. Uh, and the next thing that was pretty decent about it was he was 7-2. So a decent price. 7-2, paid $9 for every $2 you bet. Uh, so at the best, if you got a competent trainer, which we know this guy is, even though I don't look at trainer, I even recognize that name. At the very least, when they did this, they're saying, we think we have a stakes horse, let's go for it. At the very least. Now, it might be the trainer, it might be the owner saying, God damn it, you're going to do it, and the trainer might not want to. It might be the trainer wanting to do it or the whole team. But either way, it's a good sign. Now, the way you interpret handicapping information is you can also probably look at the makeup in the race of that race, and they were all probably horses that are lightly raced, just broke their maiden special weight, which all of these horses are. I mean, the horses in this race are all horses that have been at maiden special weight. One of them is going to break their maiden today, and they'll qualify as lightly raced, right? So that's a class drop, but is he a cinch to win off of that class drop? No. Is 7-2 a price that you could have accepted there? Honestly, I wouldn't have a problem with another handicapping, with a disagreeing or agreeing with another handicapper. 7-2 sounds okay, and someone saying that they were going to play against that horse at that price sounds just as okay. I decided not to do anything, and I wasn't even thinking of him at the time. But that's a class drop. So there's another class drop winner. So today, I mean, and I'll tell you the truth. Every single day, class drop horses win. Is it the number one factor? No, but it is a factor without a doubt. It's a factor. Let's see. Was there anything else? I think there was a couple more, but you guys kind of see what I'm getting at about class. You want to make sure your horse belongs, but the real question is always value. That's why I think that you should understand value, the type of horses that it takes to win first before you're going and playing. Because when you understand value, you can understand the decisions easier. You understand how easy that 64 to 1 was to play, and all the other plays weren't that appealing. Let's see, this race was kind of interesting. This was Disco's horse. I remember Disco gave out this horse. This one's a little bit trickier because this was a 12-5 climber. And because he's shipping from Woodbine, I I think this is technically a class. Woodbine horses come and run well at Gulfstream. So I think this 15,000 to 12.5 is technically a class drop. At the very least, he's been competing at equally at this level and running very good. Where here's another sneaky thing about class. This horse just broke his maiden stepping up. Where this horse has been at least established, maybe a little bit better, at the very least, he belongs in this level. I'm going to skip over to 3 because 3 is making a classic drop or a big drop, and we just want to look at the rest. This horse has been at this level and below and has not really been around except for that race. Here's another class dropper. This is not a class dropper right here. This is coming from one of the worst tracks in the country where you go and this is a giant step up. I was highlighting it and talking on the show and just accidentally marked that, but we know that that's not a class dropper. This is another horse that just broke his maiden. So sometimes when everyone's stepping up, or this horse is definitely stepping up. That horse is okay at this level, and this horse is dropping down. But sometimes it's sneaky. Sometimes class gets sneaky. Sometimes you find a race where it's overwhelmed with a bunch of horses stepping up. You got a horse that's been really good form at this level or a little bit higher. You got a monster class drop right here. Monster class drop, but he's being bet to about even money. Is it? I mean, it falls under a rule. Does he move the bankroll? Unless you got something giant with him or doing something special, and then at the top, and then you're at your head. Are you asking yourself the questions of why is he dropping? He's dropping quite a few steps. Uh, that kind of thing. Let's say we know he's not dropping. This horse was dropping, but this horse is not as competitive as the other horse. Uh, and this was the other class dropper. What was this horse bet down to 11? I mean, he was bet down to 13 to 1. I would have liked him better, except I don't like route races. But, anyways, I didn't make a bet that race. No bet. The 2 ended up running. For the people that decided to overbet this 3 horse who was making the giant class drop, should they be pissed? Fuck no, he's dropping a whole bunch of levels. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Let price be your guide, and to me, it falls under a rule that he can't move the bankroll. Sometimes they're going to win, sometimes they're going to lose, but the shorter the price horse, the better you got to be. You don't have room to make up that. So this was a race where I'm gonna say this is just like that other race where the 5 horse I thought should have been the real favorite, and he didn't run. He didn't run. And this race probably caught class handicappers with their pants down. So right now we got a horse that ran second at 60 to 1. We got 2 horses that won, 2 horses that lost. And every time it's coming down to the question value worth reward. And really, of all the group, he was 7 to 2. He was 70 cents on the dollar. He was $1.20 on the dollar, and he was $1.20 on the dollar. So quite a few chalks, one useful and one, extreme. Uh, so does class work? Yes and no, kind of deal. Let's see, I think there was another, I don't know why this day, when I was looking at this day and deciding to do this video, I was surprised there was so many, like, I thought good example. I don't map out these videos. I hope my point's kind of coming across. Let's see. Here's an example of a tricky race, the 6 race. This is a starter allowance 40,000 for winners. These races can come up quite big. But you got a whole bunch of horses that's been running. I'm kind of looking at, I don't have anyone like really circled or highlighted in yellow. The higher the class gets, sometimes I am not as comfortable marking class drops. I tend to, you guys that watch me all the time, you guys know that I mostly play in the cheaper ranks. And when I get to a certain point, I'm not as comfortable with class. And this is a race where it's a little tricky because these races can come up really tough. These starter allowance 40,000, we can expect some $62,000 claimers in here. And when you start looking at $62,000 races, you'll see some stakes horses competing in them. You might even see some graded horses competing in them. That's not the case here. You got a bunch of like claimers working their way up. I mean, this horse ran in a couple stakes. You could say he's dropping from there, but then he went to 35 and 16. I mean, both of those are way less than this level, but these two would be considered higher. There's nothing special here. Claiming 25,000, 16, 20, 20, 12. I mean, those you would say this would be a giant step up. But what's interesting about this race, the winner was a horse that started in a maiden special weight, or I'm sorry, started at a maiden claiming 40,000, not the highest level, not the lowest either. Won his first race out, never did anything wrong. Now he's stepping up. I'm not gonna mark this down. Class hurt you or helped you either way. It probably would have more than hurt you, but this is kind of a funny exception or a funny kind of race where it seems like almost every horse was taking a step up to this level. It would have hurt a lot of people because I know a lot of people don't like betting maiden claimers that just broke their maiden, or any maiden that facing winners for the first time. Actually, not just maiden claiming, but you know. But this horse won at just under 5 to 2. Do I like this horse at 5 to 2? No, I didn't even bet this race. Oh no, I did bet this race. I did a rage bet this race, and I think I hated my bet there. Well, the bet obviously lost. I did play a little bit there. I did a rage bet. I remember. I was definitely pissed off. I hit my race at Fairgrounds that made everything, but I do know that this card after that third race I mostly sat out. Let's see, was there anything interesting in this race? Optional claiming 35. I don't think I had every race. Here's an optional claiming 35. Once it's good. Once you learn your class structure and everything, this horse almost looks like a complete throwout, stepping up. Two horse looks like he can be left around for now. I don't love him or hate him. Here's another maiden. Horse just broke his maiden. Making okay. He's stepping up against winners for the first time, but maiden claiming 35,000 to maiden or just a straight claiming 35. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just they're facing winners for the first time. Four is doing the exact same thing. Five, I would have said five was definitely the classiest looking thing in this race. Well, the six ran okay at 50,000. He looks like a little class. Six was at 9-2. Five was at 9-2. This is a dirt race. See, I go a lot deeper. These two horses actually look a little tempting, except you guys know on the dirt, I'm mostly looking at the inside of the track there. But those are the two highest. Wait a minute. That's why I got this blue is where post 7 drops off. Actually, this came in 7-6. I'm gonna say class was helpful there. Class kind of got you off the 1. Possibly could have got you off the 3 and the 4. Those are the 3 horses, but this is a common question with class, though. You got some horses stepping off. You got multiple horses dropping. Right here, I would say these 3 horses are the main horse dropping without. I do all my bias and marks information there. But I'll say this one class was kind of helpful because if you were a class handicapper, it should have got you to these 3 horses. 2 of the 3 ended up being the exacta. They were 7-2, 9-2, 9-2. So not terrible. Almost in the point where you could have possibly someone could have boxed that. I wouldn't have had a problem with that. I'm 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 gonna give class a little bit of credit on that one. I'm trying not to sandbag here, or I'm trying not to not sandbag. I'm trying not to skew my pull either way. I'm gonna put this one off to the side because it got you in a group of horses, and we don't want to count group of horses every time, but let's just say if there's less than 4 and they run in the exact, then maybe you could put them in the group. Because I want to point out, class works, but without paying respect to what's a realistic win rate and handicapping math, meaning the type of prices you need to hit at a reasonable win rate. Is class enough? Is class going to get you the giant for the most part? that's why I wanted to do a whole card instead of just cherry picked a few races. Because I could go through and find some, if I could go through and cherry pick from a bunch of forms class that got you on monsters. Then I could go through and cherry pick a bunch where class got you on fucking 3 to 5s all day long. I just wanted to take this all at once, just go over a day, just acknowledge that class puts you on winners, but it's you really got to respect everything, and value trumps everything. Here's a horse stepping up big, the arrow's stepping up. He just won, been at this level. 2 horse looks like he's doing a major step up. This is okay right here. This is the level of this race. This race right here, horse wins his maiden like everyone else has, or half the horses did in this field. Then he goes up to a grade 3. Those are going up against probably arguably way better horses. But did it, then you always got the thing. Did he belong? You don't know. All he did was break his maiden. Kind of deal. It's a question that you're going to get as a handicapper. That running line is absolutely horrendous. But you know that would you be mad if he won the race? No. Could you be mad if he didn't run a lick? Fuck no. I don't even know if he belonged there. 5 horse definitely got some class under him. He's been higher level. And this race right here, you'd be kind of really looking at the 5 and the 3, or the 5 and 5 and that 3 horse. Because this horse making a giant step up, this horse making a giant step up. And then 1 and 6 are like third and fourth choice. So really a class handicapper would be between the 3. Do I want to take a horse that ran terrible but faced much the best and hasn't raced since July? Notice that a lot of times with class droppers, you get layoffs. Or do I want to take the horse with just some recency, running against better? Then he dropped to this level and just been missing for the last 3 races. Those look like the 2 logical based on class. And I'll tell you, the 5 horse won. The price was 60 cents on the dollar. Super chalk. You got to ask yourself, And the 6 horse, or I'm sorry, the 3 horse got second at 6-1. I don't think I played this race. I don't got anything written down. Kind of remember I didn't play the race, but I would have rather took a shot on the 6 horse, or I'm sorry, a shot on the 3 horse at 6-1 than the 5 horse at 60 cents on the dollar. Kind of, but I probably wouldn't have been comfortable either way. And I by the way, that came in 5-6, or I'm sorry, 5-3-6-1. The only 4 horses it could be. I would say that class got you the exacta there, no doubt about it. Is it exacta worth having? 60 cents over a dollar. Is that worth having? I don't know. For me, $9.40 for a dollar, having 2 things happen to me is not worth it. By the way, all of these are chalky except for the 1 horse at 7-2 kind of deal. That just screams a race to sit out. Let's see if there's another interesting. But I hope the point that I'm trying to make is class is not enough. It's good for knowing, you want to know the danger signs. It's good to know how many class horses, how many droppers you got in a race. The more you got, the more likely one of them would probably be the winner. What was it? Ninth, I got to speed this up. Ninth was the last race. So, maybe this is a good example to go into what I have been liking about class. What have I really been adding into my game? This race I did not play. We're going to go through. So this is a $20,000 claimer. And one of the things that I keep pointing out on the show, starter allowance. For the most part, a lot of people don't understand starter allowance. And I've been finding a lot of super good class moves in starter allowances. On the show, I talk about them all the time, kind of deal. Uh, that's probably why I got them highlighted. But those are class drops right there. But this is kind of a common, kind of just another scenario. You got a $20,000 non-winner 3 lifetimes. You got 1, 2, 3. This horse is making a giant drop off a year layoff again. You're asking the question more health than anything you see on paper there. Yeah, he ran against better. Is it a good bet after not running for a year or more? Here's another big class drop. October 28, not crazy. I know he won because he circled. Here's another class dropper. So, I mean, does understanding class help you there? Kind of not. It's almost like you buyer boys where you got, let's just say you got a 6 horse race and 5 of them they all ran one race. They all ran in the same level and they all ran 100 buyer number. Does that help you if there's 5 of them? You know, you got a problem with the one that hasn't raced for a year not running? You got a problem with the 2 horse running a very nice second, but he was $1.30 or just over what $1.30 to 1. He won. He won at 3 to 1, decent price, but it would have still been. Uh, you got 5 horses dropping in class, making big class drops in that race. You got a 20% chance to guess right for 3 to 1. Let's see, 20%. What is that? 3 to 1. Oh, there's actually I think that math just ended up being right. 20%. If a horse has 20, why do I need to look this up? I shouldn't need to look this up. 20%. Oh, it has a 4 to 1 chance, so you got underpaid. But I want to say this one necessarily helped you because it was down to 5 horses. I gave you extra credit, you class boys, for the one where it only gave you 3 contenders and they were the exacta. This one gave you 5 contenders and they were exact. But the overall rule is class works, class doesn't work. It does both. It's definitely, you seen how many winners that were on the class side of things. But you are going to be dealing with probably most of them and all the races where there was multiple. At least one of those horses was probably the chalks. Uh, the only wrinkle that I have added to my handicapping about class, and uh, let's just do it this way. I've been seeing a lot of guys talking about class ratings and all this bullshit. Look, all you need to do is know how to read a racing form. The newest wrinkle that I added to you don't need class ratings and all of this bullshit. All you need to do is save your racing forms. And everyone's playing at home now on the computer. Keep them in your thing. You can quickly look up a race. You can quickly, and what I like to do is, especially on those starter allowance races, I like to look up the makeup of that race. Was that starter allowance 20,000? Was that tougher than average or worse than average? And the way that you determine that is you look at the class of all the horses, especially the horses that ran first, second, and third. If there's a lot of droppers in a race, it was stronger than average at any level. So you could do that at 5,000. If you looked up a race and it was a $5,000 claiming race and it had a whole bunch of $10,000 claimers, it was probably tougher than average, especially if the 10,000 claimers won. Uh, if they don't run a lick, it probably doesn't make a difference. But it's very easy. In fact, one of the easiest databases to start is to have a running tally for the day, each race, write down the level of the race, write down how many class droppers were in a race, write down if the class droppers finished first, second, and third. If they dominated that race, you could probably give that race a mark for being a especially strong race. That's simple. That's all you need to do to start a database for your own class rating. It's such a simple thing. You don't need to buy shit. Just keep your forms, and when you got enough time, look them up. But if you wanted to be able to look up things quicker, just do it on a spreadsheet. It's really simple to do. Uh, so I'm going to say it again. Class is good for knowing where you're at in a race. Uh, you don't want to bet too many horses unless they're super sharp that are taking very big steps up in class. Uh, you're better off betting horses that had class dropping, but you gotta understand handicapping math and handicapping expectations on how many tickets you win, and you still gotta make those moves when they make sense, not when they're gonna hurt you. Uh, kind of deal. Let price, let overall. It's a tool. It's not a one. I'm a class handicapper. I think you can move on from that. Uh, I'm gonna put this video up. I'll probably watch it later. I think I'm gonna put this video up and hope that I like it. If I take it away, that means I just didn't like it. But anyways, take it easy.